well, quite frankly, I'm a bit of a prude. Life is such a struggle. Hello everyone. I've never made anything personal on this channel before, and since I don't get to chat with you all like I did streaming, I thought it might be a good time to make a little bit of a personal video. And I thought it might be fun to also answer a few questions that I got from my Instagram and from my Discord community to see if there's anything that they wanted to ask. And I can't stress enough, thank you so much to everyone that asked a question. It was so beautiful. It made my heart very full seeing the questions come through, so thank you so much. But yes, this one's going to be a bit of a casual video, so I hope you're excited for something a little bit different from me. We're going to be talking about silly things, we're going to be talking about juicy things, we're going to be talking about deep things, you know. So grab a drink and get comfy and let's get into it. This is a terrible idea. Hi, it's me, Pastelsparkles, coming to you live from the couch. This is it. This is the angle that I chose for today. Okay, in this portion of the video, we're gonna talk about the silly questions that we got. So get strapped in. We buckle up. So the first question here is, why are you blue? Now, that is in relation to the hair that you can't see in this shot. I don't know why in this costume I'm like trying to be the most feral version of myself as possible, but I think that's just what happens when you put me in a costume. I just decide feral hours are the only hours, and that's just what you're gonna get from me. But yeah, I've had 2 videos with this hair color now and no comments on it, which can only mean to me that you must all be fans of my social media, and if that is the case, a cookie for you. Thank you for paying attention to the things that I do outside of content creation visually, because I appreciate it. I love posting things on my Instagram. My Instagram story pops off on occasion. But I've had pink hair for the better part of, I want to say 5 years, and it's safe. I think it looks great on me, pink hair. It suits me. And my whole life, I've always wanted to have, like, hello Juniper, do you have anything to say? I've always wanted to have forest green hair, like beautiful dark green hair. I don't know if it's achievable for me. I don't know if it'll look good on me. I'm scared because it's quite different from pink. But you know, I was like, oh, we'll try something in the same vein, and I went with blue because I had blue. I had tons of blue from when I used to dye my ex's hair blue. And now I've just got it sitting in my cupboard. It's been sitting in my cupboard for like 3 years. And I thought, I had a wild and wacky idea to just use it one day, and here we are. I definitely don't like the blue that I had in the Assassin's Creed video that I did 2 weeks ago. I think that hair is just too bold for me. I think the color is very pretty, just not on me. But I like the more like muted blue that was my fringe in the Starfield video. So if we can achieve that at some point, that would be great. Under this, I'm sure you've already seen in the video, I have like a tealy blue kind of hair going on now, and that's definitely a color that I think suits me more. I think the more green, it suits me. So that's why blue. I just wanted to mix it up. It was kind of bad timing because now PAX is on next month, and I like to be classic pastel as best I can at PAX so that when people meet me for the first time, they're not like, who the fuck are you? The pink hair, that's Pastelsparkles. I fucked up. Now I've got teal hair, so we'll see how we go. I hope you all pay attention to my social media enough to recognize me at PAX. But yeah, I can't use my iPad with these hands. Life is such a struggle. Another question was, rank all of the plushies from IKEA worst to best. I thought that was very funny, and I think the best way for me to do this is just to throw this up in a tier list. So F tier, sucks, hate it. We've only got a few in here because IKEA plushies slay. We've got ball. We have the weird range hippo, lion, and elephant. They've seen things that I don't want to know about, so they're in F tier. I don't want to be a part of that. They've got baggage I'm not ready to unpack. They all give me bad vibes. In D tier, we have lion, monkey, Animal Crossing, weird heart with hands. It's not anatomically correct. It shouldn't exist. Snake, I hate to say it, but snake soft toys almost never look good, and this is a classic case of why is its mouth open and tongue out? It could be cute, but instead it's just feral. You can tell none of these people have owned a snake. I have owned a snake. In C tier, all of the dinosaurs bar one. The koala, the big panda, the cat, the leopard, the bunny, and the standing panther. In B tier, we have the big husky, elephant, crocodile, husky little, tiger, panther lying down, and the owl. In A tier, we have, as I recently found out, Brunbjorn, Gossik Golden, and the other one. I wrote polar near. I assume this is polar bear. Sitting panda bear. Triceratops, which is the best dinosaur. And pig. And in S tier, a win for the gays, we have both Jungle Skog and Blaha. I only own a Blaha, so I think you know which camp I sit in which of the two I think is better. But S tier is really for the gays. I feel like every queer person I've ever met has owned either Jungle Skog or Blaha. And that's why they're S tier, because they're for the gays. I also have a question about tier lists. Why is there no E tier? Fuck, marry, kill. Edward Cullen, Iron Bull, and Karlak. I thought this question was fantastic, which is why I had to add it. Fuck Iron Bull. I think that one's self-explanatory. Marry Karlak. She's a sweetie. I love her. I want her for the rest of my life. She's a top tier character. And so that only leaves to kill Edward Cullen. Essentially, he's an 100-year-old incel. No thank you. This isn't a question. Astarion. More chatting to me about Astarion, please. Oh no. Oh my god, I can't dress myself. Okay, we're back. Would you rather be friends with Agent 47 or Dutch Vanderland? I know exactly who wrote this question. I wish this was about Arthur. I'm not gonna lie to you. Arthur, I can't even describe to you how many hours I've watched of this one video that has all of Arthur's voice lines that he says to his horse, just so that I can imagine him saying it to me. So, whoa, girl. But in any case, this is about Dutch versus Agent 47, and I know that the person who asked this is going to be very disappointed in me when I say this, but I actually haven't ever played Hitman. I've only ever experienced Hitman from watching my friend Matthew stream this on Twitch and stream this to me in Discord. So all I know of it is that you just do levels and shoot people and be stealthy about it. And so I don't really know if Agent 47 even has a personality. But despite this, and despite my disdain for this character overall, I'm going to pick Dutch. I know that I'd either want to die being in this predicament, or I would be indoctrinated by his thinking. In any case, I would be a worse person for it, but I'm still picking it because I love Red Dead Redemption 2, and god damn it, I just want to play that game again. It made me so emotional. It's such a good game. If you haven't played it, what the fuck were you doing in that year that it came out? I don't know a single person that wasn't playing it. Who is your favorite assassin, excluding Cassandra? We all know she's number one. You are correct. She is number one. I think it goes without saying. I've made my entire brand on being a Cassandra Assassin's Creed fan account. Is it cheating to say Alexios? I don't like Alexios. I think it's hard for me to say this because I have very few memories of the older games just because I played them when I was a kid, and my like more updated memories have been from replaying some of the older games, but I haven't really played that many of the older games more recently. So for that reason, I think I have to say Bayek. I love him so much. He's a good dad. He's a good guy. He loves his wife. You know what I'm saying? He's so hot. And I think the bonus of the more recent games is that there are more pixels to ogle at. So for that reason, I feel like Bayek is a good pick for that answer. I hope that didn't disappoint you. And lastly, in this location, what is the best bit of construction equipment in your opinion? The backhoe. Thank you for hanging out with me on the couch. I don't know what energy this is that I have. Alrighty. Are you glad to be out of Adelaide and in Melbourne now? I am. For those who don't know, at the end of 2021, I moved from Adelaide to Melbourne to move in with my now partner, Hula Hoops. He was about to move out of a house that he shared with his friends, and he said, hey, why don't you move in with me? I love living here. Don't get me wrong, I am the biggest Adelaide simp ever. Up until the last day of me living there, I was very much Adelaide is like one of the best places to live. I still think that, Adelaide has so much to offer, and I think anyone who is looking to live in Australia and are considering Adelaide, I think that's a very smart decision because it is a beautiful place to live. It is extremely well priced to live. The only thing that it has as a downside is that it doesn't have a huge amount going on culturally outside of Fringe season and what's known as Mad March. So I don't regret moving for a second. I do regret leaving the very good friends there and really lovely family, but I think I have ultimately outgrown Adelaide. I am not saying that I will never move back there, but I at this stage can't see myself moving back there. I would love everyone to just move to Melbourne with me instead because I love it here. I think I suit Melbourne, and since living here, I feel like I have really come alive. So I'm so glad that I did it, and I know my life would be so different if I didn't do this. So I'm so glad. Yeah, this is the best thing I've ever done. What is one thing about Adelaide that you miss, apart from family? Apart from family. There's so much that I miss. I think it's hard to say definitively what I guess I miss the most, but there are experiences that I really enjoyed having that I really miss. So like, for example, on Tuesdays when I was either unemployed or working as a PhD research assistant, I would go and get drinks with my cousin, and I miss doing that every week. We would go every week and either get cocktails from a bar that was open midday, or we would go to Centuro, which at the time had half price sangria jugs, which I think at that point they were like $10 or $12. Insane to get a whole jug of sangria for $10. Give me a break. I've never seen drinks that cheap ever again. And that obviously didn't last too long because we pretty much, I think we maybe were the reason why they had to stop that, because I was like, these bitches are taking too much of our product for too little. I miss that a ton. I also miss easy access to the Adelaide Hills and the Adelaide wine regions. I'm a really big wine drinker. Although not since I've moved here, funnily enough. I'm very much in my gin era here. In terms of the Adelaide Hills, can you guys hear the rain outside? It's going. Harndorf and easy access to Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens, they're stunning. If you are planning a trip to Adelaide and you want something to do, go to Harndorf. It's so beautiful. The people that I spoke to a lot that I could see in my day-to-day, often I'm still talking to them online here. So as much as I miss being able to experience some of the things that they're doing in person, I'm still grateful that I'm able to speak to them all online. If I can say one thing for family, I miss being able to hang out with my brother so much. I think toward the end of me living in Adelaide, my brother and I got really close and we would hang out a lot, especially because we were looking for houses and stuff. and I really miss spending time with them. But yeah, so that's that. A classic interview cue. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know how to answer this. I think my whole life I've had an answer for this question. Ever since literally my life turned upside down, I have kind of learned to stop dreaming of a future so far ahead. I know 5 years isn't that far ahead. I don't know that it's so productive to have such big goals like that. I think it's more important to live in the moment as best you can. Obviously have general goals, but I don't know if it's so productive to have goals so much like that. I think we should all learn to enjoy the life that we have while we have it and just take it with the punches. One day, if it's within 5 years, that's amazing. I would love to own a house or be on my way to owning a house. I guess I would like another cat in the next 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. I guess within the next 5 years, I'd just like to keep enjoying myself, keep making content, getting better and better at doing stuff and learning about how to better my content. That's always how I've been. I've been doing content for the longest time, and I think I'm probably the most in my stride that I've ever been. So I'm just gonna let that happen if it happens, and if it doesn't, oh well, best life. I hope that satisfied the question. Top 5 book recommendations. At the start of the year, I made it a goal that I wanted to read more because I used to be a really good reader when I was young. I used to read all the time, like 100 books in a year, super easy. I guess you have a lot more free time as a kid. And then as an adult, I feel like I've lost the skill. Reading is really a skill. I think a lot of people take it for granted. It's not just a hobby. I'm going to recommend things that I have read this year. They'll all be new things. There'll be no classic answers from me. It's all going to be things that I would recommend that I've read recently. The first one that I want to recommend is Different Not Less by Chloe Hayden. I've made a really big effort to get to know myself more. I think that's just part of healing. Part of healing is getting to know yourself more and embracing a little bit about my life. I've been reading a lot of books about autism, and this one is a really beautiful book. I think everyone, whether you have autism or are neurodivergent in general, or you're not, or you know someone that is, I think it's a really good book to read just to get a different perspective on life, and we can all learn from people's experiences. So I think it's a really beautiful read. I'm really excited to keep reading and seeing what Chloe does. Chloe's been amazing to follow on Instagram. I feel very excited to be living in a time where there are resources like this about things like this. I think it's really helpful to people. Anyway, my second recommendation is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I really hope I said that correctly. This book had me in absolute tears on a train ride back from seeing my partner's family in Sydney. This book is so beautiful. This book, the way it is written is so beautiful. If you don't know anything about it, it is about a coffee shop that essentially you can go forward or backward in time to meet someone who has also been to this coffee shop. You've only got until the coffee gets cold to be there, otherwise you end up cursed to be a ghost only ever existing in the coffee shop. And it is just one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. I have the second book as well that I'm planning on reading once I finish Baldur's Gate, and I'm so excited to read it. I think there's 3 or 4 of those books now. So yeah, just stunning, just a stunning book. I really can't recommend it enough. The third recommendation here is a funny one for me. It's a bit of an embarrassing one for me, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I read this as part of a kind of book club activity in a friend's Discord. And like I said, I'm trying to get back into the practice of reading, and I feel like this was a great book to read because even though it's big, I feel like I ate this book up. The reason why I feel a bit guilty recommending it or even talking about it is because, well, quite frankly, I'm a bit of a prude. No. It's smutty and it's a bit cringe, and I think part of me thinks I'm still a bit of an intellectual, but I think since I stopped doing my PhD, I don't need to pretend anymore that I'm an intellectual. I just need to accept the fact that I'm cringe, and I like cringe content. If you want to read something that is going to take you a day or 2 to read, and it's chonky, give it a go. There's a sequel coming out, I think, at the end of this year, so it's a good time to get into it if you want to get into it. The fourth one that I have on here is Love and Autism by Kay Kerr. Following on from the first one, this is a great resource, I think, for people who either have autism or know someone with autism. It's 5 people's stories about growing up. They talk about different things in their life, how they approached them, how they dealt with them. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful account of people's lives who have varying experiences with autism. And yeah, I really can't recommend it enough. It was very well written. I especially while I was reading it, thought that it was written in a way that my brain in particular enjoyed. I felt like the way that it was structured is exactly how I would expect to write a book like this. And I wonder if other people that have read this and have autism felt that as well. The whole time I was reading it, I was turning to my partner and saying, oh my God. I felt so validated reading it. It was a great experience for me. So I would really recommend it. Like I said, if you have autism or if you know someone with autism, and if you know me, you know someone with autism. And the last one that I'm going to recommend it's a classic, so I don't really know if it's worth me recommending, but I just want to capture it because it's something that I read this year. And that's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho? I'm actually not sure how to pronounce their last name. I know that they are Brazilian. I read it on the same trip that I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, so I feel like I was on a real emotional roller coaster that trip. If you don't know anything about it, it's about a man who goes on this incredible expedition across the world, going from being a shepherd in Spain, and he goes on a trip to Egypt to find something that he's been called to find. It is really, really beautifully written. The only thing about it that I maybe found uncomfortable, and this is literally just a me thing, but having grown up religious, I definitely felt like this book was intentionally written to bestow a moral and impart wisdom and make people rethink things. And I definitely think that there's value in stories like this. But for me, because it felt so much like a Christian story to me, I was like, so it took me a little bit to get past that. But I definitely see the appeal. I definitely think it's a beautiful book. It's definitely a book that I would recommend to my nonna. Like, I feel like she would get a lot out of it. So I feel like if you like books that maybe lean like a really nice message, a bit spiritual, I think you would really like this book. It is a really beautiful book, and I think it's very easy to read. It was a very quick read. Here's a fun one. Do you think that you would ever get back into doing makeup or beauty videos? This question is really cute to me. I don't know how many people know this, but I was a beauty blogger, probably at the start of me making content back in 2013. And yeah, the first thing that I really did was a beauty blog, and I was doing that for probably 3 years. I was doing it until I was doing my PhD. A lot of people that follow me on Instagram know me from that period of time. I love it. Makeup is a huge part of my life. I still love makeup to this day. But to answer the question, I don't think I will ever go back to doing beauty and makeup videos. The only reason for that is I don't think I have anything insightful to say about the topic at this stage. I love being creative, but a huge reason why I stopped making them in the first place was I was at the time very limited in what I could spend my money on in terms of equipment to be able to capture a lot of the things I was doing. I was doing some really intricate makeup looks, and so my photos looked pretty dog shit. I had to do a lot of editing to try and make them look how I wanted them to look. They just never looked good enough for me. You know, everyone was out here with their SLRs, and I'm just here with my iPhone. So yeah, I mean, I'm still out here with my iPhone currently, but that's the only reason why. Not because I don't love it, but I thought that question was so cute. That was a huge part of my life for a long time. So thank you for asking that. I really, I really enjoyed reading it. List 5 albums that changed your life. I feel like my opinion on this has changed a lot over time. It's Rockin' the Suburbs by Ben Folds, Begin to Hope by Regina Spektor, Folklore by Taylor Swift, Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, the Twilight soundtrack. I'm just kidding. It was tempting to write it, but I'm just kidding. And The Gods We Can Touch by Aurora. All of these albums, I think, at one point maybe want to work on music, maybe want to write music, maybe want to work on lyrics. And they still have that effect today. Every time I listen to them, I'm like, oh, I want to do something about this. I want to do, and my head starts spinning. That's actually a goal that I've always wanted to do, is write an album. And I think I'm getting close to actually working on that. Fingers crossed. So yeah, I love those albums. I'd recommend them if you haven't listened to them. I love them. They're great. Also, I got a few funny questions from my community that only my community will enjoy. So I'm just going to quickly rapid fire these off. I wanted to include them because I just thought they were funny. And yeah. Who is the Rizzler of the relationship? I asked my partner this, and he said me. And I'd agree. What would you do if you found out Matt and Hula had a travel cuisine show without you knowing? I'd ask, where am I watching this? I kind of do hope that this happens because I think it would be very, very funny. And pick between Kay and Matt. Kay. You knew that this was the answer that I was going to say when you wrote the question, Matt. Yeah. That's that, lads. Will you do more gameplay videos on YouTube, like Let's Plays, maybe for Starfield? I definitely want to do more of this. I've rewatched my whole Spiritfarer playthrough recently because I had been wanting to replay the game, but I didn't want to have to go through the whole effort of me playing the game. So it was nice to have an edited form of the story to watch and kind of see my emotions again through those different story beats. So it definitely made me miss making that sort of video. But if I'm being super duper honest with you all, those videos do absolute dog shit on this channel. I definitely do those videos for the love of the game. I usually do those videos for a game that I really think that I will enjoy the story for, and it'll be a thought-provoking story, and it'll be an experience where I can chat to you guys while I'm playing it. Fall of the Sea was really good for me for that. That was like the perfect game for me to play. I'll throw it to you. What kind of games would you guys like to see me play? I would love to hear what you guys would actually like to see me play. I think Starfield maybe is not the best one for me to do this for, just because it's so big. I usually like making those kinds of videos where I can encapsulate the whole game within a series. So I really don't think I'd ever manage to get all of Starfield into a video series. I think we'd be doing it forever. So I definitely would like to hear what people would like to see from me, if that is the kind of video that you would like. I definitely think I could be tempted to film my Dark Urge playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. I've been really wanting to do that playthrough, and it would be a really good excuse to make more content for Baldur's Gate 3 on the channel, especially because I think at this point, I don't know if this is maybe too early to say this, but I think Baldur's Gate 3 may be my favorite game of all time. Like, I think it has surpassed Assassin's Creed Odyssey in terms of games that I'm enjoying the most. So I'll do anything to talk about Baldur's Gate 3. So if you would like to see that, especially, let me know. But if you have any ideas for games that you think I would like, that you would also like to see me do, don't just think about me and what I would like. Think about what you would enjoy watching. Because yeah, I'll do it if people want to see it, but ultimately not that many people watch those videos, so it's hard for me to justify the time and the effort that goes into filming and editing it. Keep me posted. I would like to hear from you guys. Why no longer stream? So I'm gonna try not to blab about this for too long if I can help it. I ultimately think that it's inevitable that I'm gonna blab about this a little bit at least, because I was streaming 3 days a week for the better part of nearly 5 years, and all of a sudden at the end of Pride, I said, this is going to be the last consistent streams. I'm not going to be streaming anymore. Thank you so much to everyone. And yeah, and I peaced out. I was like, I'm just going to do YouTube from here on, essentially. There were actually a few questions relating to this kind of overall question, so I'll try my best to answer all of them within this response. So in essence, the reason why I started streaming in the first place was because I had just started my PhD, or I was coming to the end of my PhD experience. And while I was doing that, I was either doing research for my PhD or I was streaming. Researching can be super duper isolating, and if you don't have a lot of friends, it can really do a number on your mental health to just have not a lot of of resources, not a lot of time to be able to justify taking that time away from your research. And, you know, I was very fortunate, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I had a lot of friends going into having a PhD. But because I can't drive, factoring in transport time often made me feel like I couldn't justify going out to see them, because the hour or so that it would take me to get somewhere was time I could be researching. So streaming was kind of the best thing that came to me, because I could have like 5 minutes between doing research and just hopping on a stream and getting there and having a bunch of friends to chat to, especially about things that I really liked. Dating sims were the bread and butter of my channel at the beginning, and that was all I wanted to play, and it was just like the perfect scenario for me. So that's why I started. Toward the end of me doing a PhD, I knew that I really wanted to pursue doing content properly, and I was video editing more or less full time, and between that I was streaming and then editing my own content, and it was like the perfect time to make it a priority when I was in an in-between phase of not knowing where I wanted to go past working on my PhD. And so then I moved out and I made a dedicated space to content stuff, and it was really the best time for me. I grew so much. That was during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic. I grew so much. I was really in my stride. So many jokes that started at this point are still part of my brand today. So it was a very special time for me. But in the middle of 2021, my world got essentially turned completely upside down by a very traumatic breakup. And from that led a series of events that just, I was always trying to catch up with where I needed to be in life. I had to move 3 times in 6 months. I started a new full-time employment. During that 6 months, bless the people that literally saved my life during that period. I did feel like I was being held in, kind of. I couldn't stretch my wings. I couldn't relax, because I knew I was in a transition period where I hadn't gotten to safety yet from the trauma of that experience. I streamed all through that time, and it was really what kept me going. And then once I moved to Melbourne and I could finally relax, I finally knew that I was safe, I was able to process everything that had happened to me, I just had to stop. And I was really spotty for a while at the start of 2022, and I felt really guilty about it. And, you know, between working full time, getting a very demanding little cat, I had to change a lot about how I streamed, and at no point did I ever feel like I was back at that peak that I had when streaming was my priority. Both the feeling of streaming and also just my content just didn't look better. I always tried to make things better and different. I tried a lot of things for my mental health to make it better, and then I changed the way you know, my situation looked with better lighting. And ultimately, yeah, at the end of Pride, I did a charity stream for Pride, and I ended on that because in short, I don't have the time to commit to it at all anymore. And it's really sad. I lost my love for streaming, I think. And I think it served its purpose for me. I don't want to rule out streaming in the future. I definitely do not see myself going back to streaming in the way that I was in the past, 3 days a week, regularly showing up. I just don't think that I can mentally do that to myself anymore. It was very challenging, but I definitely can see myself here and there streaming and doing something that makes sense. Like whether that's, you know, making content with you guys and then making it for a video, I can definitely see myself doing that. Or for a special occasion, maybe I can see myself doing a stream here or there, just whatever makes sense. But yeah, I think a lot of what fueled me when I started living here in Melbourne was spite. And spite can only get you so far. I didn't want to give up on streaming because I didn't want... This is going to sound so stupid, but I'm being vulnerable, so I'm just going to allow myself to say it. The reason why I kept going in 2022 was because I thought that if I stopped streaming, that it was going to let my ex win, that he had hurt me enough to stop me doing the thing that made me the happiest. And I didn't want him to come into the space again and think that he could just go back to being how everyone had seen him for the longest time in that space. So I kind of kept going, be like, no, this is my space and I'm going to make sure I make the most of it and I'm having the happiest time. But obviously you can only be burnt out for so long. So yeah, it just wasn't feasible for me. Essentially, yeah, I didn't have enough time to stream and I didn't have the mental energy to do it anymore, which is why I stopped in the capacity that I was doing. And that's why I'm doing these videos, because they're far easier for me to achieve. I can be on, I can have my makeup on for just like say an hour and a half, and then I can go back to my little cave and be a gremlin and just edit this for the rest of the week, you know? So it's the perfect scenario for me. I know it's not as personal, but I'm super duper active on my social media and in my Discord community, which I would encourage, you know, anyone who's not in there currently to join, because it is so vibrant. I love everyone that's in there, and it's a great way for me to keep connected with all of you while I'm not streaming. I hope that answered that question well enough. But yeah, making videos is what I've always wanted to do, and I'm finally doing it. So I'm the happiest, I think, with my content that I ever have been. And yeah, I appreciate everyone being here on the ride with me. With that, I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all so much for indulging me in this little video and hearing me talk for so long. I've had such a good time with all of you. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to let me know what games you think that you would like to see me play if you do want to see that kind of video. And if you don't, you can also tell me, and you tell me to shut the fuck up, and I'll keep making my little video essays and things like that, which I'm really enjoying them, especially the freedom to be able to talk about whatever the fuck I want. I love it. It's just the best. So leave a comment, please. I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear what you all think. And I hope that you all stay well, stay beautiful, and I will see you all next time. Bye.